he saved a lot of lives. That skill is not there. And it takes time to build that skill. We could even take those young 1,500 hours, and we're doing it. But it takes a long time to mentor. So we've got pilots now that are coming in at minimum skills, having learned on glass cockpits, and in a year upgrading to captain. I had 12 years of watching the good and the bad of the airline world, and I took the good from them and I left the bad behind. And I think I'm a pretty decent captain now. But those kids are jumping so fast. And then they're running the unions because they're young and they're eager. And so us old people are saying, hey, you know what? We're at a critical moment where we don't have qualified pilots. We'd like to keep them a little longer. We'd be willing to work an extra couple years, but they vote and they say, no, get out of my seat, old man or old woman. Excuse me. They don't want to raise the pilot age. So the Airline Pilots Association is complicit in the problem.
It feels like everything is fine until there's a problem. So you read about, even now, you read about planes stalling. Something happens and the plane just falls out of the sky. And I've read a number of times of trained pilots who, apply the throttle and point upwards as it's stalling, which I don't think is the right. I think it's the opposite of what you're supposed to do. But they panic under pressure. Mm-hmm. So that seems like a huge problem if you're not screening carefully for temperament, ability to think clearly under duress, and you're not allowing people to accumulate relevant experience before turning over the cockpit to them, no?
I would agree.
Like describe, if you don't mind, since you've flown for so long, a scenario where something goes wrong unexpectedly and you have to think independently from the autopilot.
Well, the most dangerous part of your flight, most people don't know it, is takeoff in a jet.
Yeah.
Right?
Why? Why is it most dangerous?
As we get to the end of the runway at critical speed, V1, we call it, V1, liftoff, the airplane is at full power and you have an engine failure. Now you have asymmetrical thrust. And so it's very critical to lower the nose, do the proper steps. And a lot of times there's critical terrain. So we have a path we have to fly. And a lot of things are happening very quickly. And so doing it by the book, it's what we train for over and over and over again.
Losing an engine on takeoff.
It is the most critical point of your entire flight. And so that's what we train for. That's what they pay me for. They don't pay me for the simple stuff, landings and cruise at altitude and all that. They pay me for that V1 cut. And
really? V1 cut?
Yes. Right at the speed, we call it V1, velocity 1. So at that critical speed is when we V1, rotate the airplane off the runway, engine failure, asymmetrical thrust, kicks in a whole bunch of rudder to 7.6. It takes a lot. You stand on it, get it straight, and fly it up to roughly 800 feet, lower the nose, work the checklist. And it's a two-man job. That's a critical reason we can't go to single pilot.
How is it a two-man job?
Because somebody's got to read the checklist and somebody's got to fly the airplane. I can't fly that airplane looking down at that checklist.
That does happen, right?
Mm-hmm. And everyone we've had that I can remember has been extremely successful.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So people survived them all?
People survived. The last actual death in the U.S. transport category outside of the commuters, 2005, Southwest, and it actually wasn't on board the plane. It was at the gas station across the street at Midway. So we have an incredible safety record. But we have that safety record because of the people up front, right? The system's kind of working against us, though. I don't know if you've seen the preliminary results of the DCA midair.
No.
We have a serious problem.
So describe what you think happened there.
It's not what I think happened.
So did